and I'll throw up my few slides. So first of all, I suppose just to introduce the thing, first of all, my name is Owen. I'm working with Damien and Paddy there. I'm sure all of you are in regular contact with either myself, Damien, Paddy or Seamus. So I suppose about 2 weeks ago, we came up with a plan of putting together a youth development, athletic development programme. And where that came from was actually ourselves, from having conversation with coaches and coaching officers. There was kind of a hunger out there for this type of a thing. And rather than supplying each individual club or coach with something different, we said we might wrap it all up and we might be able to make a better programme of it. So really the goal was to make something that was engaging and useful for players. And I think we've fairly done a good job on that. So just to go forward and show you what it is. So basically it's a fitness program that runs for at least 4 weeks, and we'll see how we go after that. As you can see there in the video, that's Rian Brady. So we got a good few players, hurlers and footballers at senior level, and they were delighted to help us out, and they made us a few videos so that rather than them looking at someone that they don't know like myself, they're seeing their idols, I suppose, the players, and it might motivate them that little bit more. So we got lots of players to make the videos, and then it's myself that voiced over the stuff that players might need to know. So there's lots of different exercises there that will work on their strength and their coordination, and really the building blocks of what's to come if they want to become better players and all that sort of stuff. So there's 2 days of exercises like that. The whole program takes roughly, at the minute, it's about 40 minutes to do. And as you can see, Rian, there, you need very little equipment, a chair, a towel, a football, a book, stuff like that that's at home, no special equipment needed, and it can be done anywhere. Again, looking at Rian, he's just in a sitting room, and most of you probably have seen bits of the videos. It's all the lads are just doing it in their, the shed or out in the garden or somewhere like that. So there's 2 days of that, and then also, if you can see my mouse here, we have a tracking sheet with it. So there's an example of one of the sessions, and then we're encouraging the lads to tick if they were able to do it, great, or if they were falling short on the reps, or they were tiring out, that's no harm. Just scribble in how far you got, and going forward in the weeks you'll see that you're improving all the time. Also, there's a couple of questions just to get them thinking, how hard was it out of 10? Like if they look back after 4 weeks and they see big numbers here, they might find, geez, yeah, I'm finding that easier now. And then at the end of each one of all the exercises, we have a challenge. So last week this week, it was the back against the wall challenge. Anyone who is watching Ireland's Fittest Family, you'll know what that is at this stage. And it's just a bit of a challenge for them, nothing too serious. And again, with the topic of strength and conditioning and stuff like that. So along with that, then, if we move into this one, we have youth conditioning, which is basically their fitness in running. So again, obviously with restrictions, we wanted to keep it kind of simple, that it's easy to follow and you don't need any special equipment. So the simplest thing we could come up with was that you start your run from a certain point. So that could be the front gate of the house or wherever it is that the lads want to start, and they run for a certain amount of time. So on this one, they run for 6 minutes. They go as flat out as hard as they can for them 6 minutes, running as far as they can, and then they'll take a rest for 2 minutes. They'll run another 6 minutes further out again away from the house, and then they will rest for about 3 minutes, and then they'll try and make it back in the time. So it's just a really simple way to challenge them. They run out from wherever their starting point is, and by the time they're finished, they're back at home. So it's just a nice, simple way of doing it. And again, there's 2 days of that. So in the week, there's about 4 training sessions that they can do. And most of the time, those runs won't take too long. Well, actually, they'll only take about 40 minutes, I think, is the max one. So I know I ran through that pretty quick, but basically that's what the program is going to be. And it repeats every week. So we've sent out the one from this week. Some of you might be familiar with it. So the players get all this information. They get their tracking sheet, they get their running thing, and they get the video, which runs from start to finish. So it includes the warm-up, it includes all the information they need, what equipment they're going to need. It has the challenge at the end, and all they have to do is press play, and they should be able to just follow the program there all the way through. And again, there's 2 separate days of that. So all that gets sent out to a parent's email for those who have signed up, and Damien will tell you later, but there is big numbers. The last I heard was over 350 players have signed up. So they'll get all that stuff on a Monday, and then it's up to them to use it. So basically, that's what the program is. Obviously, if there's any questions, you can ask them away, type them into the chat box or near the end. Don't be afraid to turn on the mic and let us know in case there's anything that's confusing you. So then moving on, I suppose, what are the benefits for the players and for you? So it's a way of starting the season. A lot of the people I was talking to 3 or 4 weeks ago, they were wondering, the big question of when will we be back to the pitch? And this was a good way of, I suppose, getting a start to the season. Team and their club, and then also there's lots of player development in it. If I was to go out to a club team, or I had a development squad team, or even the minors, this is the type of exercises I'd be starting with. So it's not that it's a dumbed down version or anything like that. It's the very same exercises that we'll be doing, and as I said, it's the building blocks for them to move forward. So if they can learn some simple things about how to do these exercises and familiarize themselves, that's a good learning curve for them going forward. Also, we're going to have the fitness element of it. So, if guys come back a couple of percent fitter than they might have been coming back, that's great for the team and great for themselves. And it also gives them a bit of ownership. All the senior players out there who made them videos for us, they're all training in a similar sort of a way. There's no going to a gym for them. They're doing a certain amount of exercises, the very same in their sitting room, at home, in the garden, wherever they can. And it's I suppose, showing a bit of ownership from the players too, that's the way they're going to have to train right now, but also when they're older, they're going to have a bit of discipline and train on their own the odd time. From the next week, we're going to have little bits of, I suppose, extra information in it, little nuggets of nutrition tips, and maybe some psychology tips. And it's just another little thing that they might pick up as they go along through the program. And then I suppose that's really the player development stuff of it. It's mainly to give them a taste of what, sort of sports science and strength and conditioning stuff they're going to encounter in the next while. Then in terms of engagement with the team, coach and club, everyone's talking about it now, mental health and the social aspect that's suffering, particularly with young lads. So I think this is really important, that it can be a way to engage with the team, the coach, and of course the club again. Obviously, we don't want any players to be forgetting that, Gaelic football is going to be coming back and their club is still there and their club is still thinking about them. So we want them to be thinking about the club and really looking forward to it again. And I think this is a good way to get that started. Even though we're very limited, I think this is a good little opportunity. So I suppose, why are you all here tonight? And it's really to go through your role as a coach. So this stuff is very much ideas. It's very much everything is going to be different for every team and every coach and even every age grade. So what we'd love you to do with your players is engage and motivate the players. And I suppose that's a very easy and common thing to say, but what does that really look like? So the few ideas we would have had, and myself and Paddy and Seamus and Damien and Kieran McGuckie as well, we were all talking, and kind of the best things to come up with are these few ideas, and there might be more, and definitely we'll open it up for your ideas, because a lot of these ideas, originate from yourselves and we might develop them a little bit. But creating a competition each week to be the best at the little challenge that comes on the exercise program each week. Really simple thing to do, on the WhatsApp group, through the parents, ask the players to send back their score, what they got. So if it's back against the wall, one fella gets 2 minutes, that's going to challenge everyone else in the group, and people are going to rub their hands together and think, I bet you I can beat that. And if there's a bit of a competition there, that's the bit we're talking about, engaging the team and them feeling part of something that's not just themselves. Then another idea would be contacting the players, again, obviously through parents' phones. So, if there's 20 players on your team, this is a good little opportunity, 5 players a week, 1 player a night, just to give them a phone call, ask the parents, can you chat to the young lad, or through the parents, and just ask how they're getting on, are they looking forward to the football coming back? If they have any questions, is the programme working for them? Are they finding it tough? Are they finding it too easy? Things like that. But really, it's just sparking a conversation that might just make a difference to a lad and make him feel part of the team and delighted that he got some interest from the coach. Then another idea would be players sending back screenshots or videos, or again times of whatever way it might work best for them. So you could have screenshots of GPS or Fitbits that people are using these days. If they go for a run, an awful lot of young people now actually have Fitbits, and if they go for a run, it'll record, what distance did they get in the 6 minutes or in the 12 minutes or whatever it is. So it might be no harm to get lads to send them in, and not as a thing of we're nagging at people or we're checking out, are you doing the training and you have to do it like a drill sergeant. It's more just for them to see the whole team is working on this together, and we're starting our season now and we're looking forward to our championship that'll come up. Videos and times as well of them doing the exercises could be a nice little thing for them to see each other. There could be anything done there. You could have jokes made, or they have to do a bit of a dance or something stupid that might just get a laugh out of the team. And then also you could even go as far as doing online calls to train together as a group. So probably one of the best parts about the whole program is if they all have it, it's a video, everyone presses play at the same time, and then it's almost like they're doing the same workout. Even though everyone separately is going to be watching their own recording as such, they can all do it together and it'll be in the same time if everyone presses play pretty much at the same time. So it could be a good idea there, an online call to be done and go through the session. And like that doesn't have to be a thing that every single one has to be done that way. It could be once in the 4 weeks that you try to organise that just to get the team back together again. So they'd be the few ideas we'd have of how we can engage with it. But certainly I would urge you to, whatever way works best for you, to try and get some engagement with the players. We all know, and this is no different. It doesn't matter how fancy it looks or what it's like. If these guys are sent this stuff and they look at it, they won't be too motivated after doing it once or twice unless they feel there's a reason they're doing it. And the reason they're doing it is to be part of the team, to better themselves and be ready for the football that they're going to be getting back to. So your role, I suppose, as a coach is to remind them of that's the reason they're doing it, and that to put that motivation, to put them thoughts in their heads that it's a positive thing for them, rather than them seeing it as a chore or something that they have to do. Because none of them are really going to do that if they feel it's a chore or anything like that, or if it's not too engaging, they're not going to be interested in doing it. So that's really what we'd be looking for from yourselves. And like, as you know, myself, Paddy and Seamus are always there on the phone if you need kind of reassurance on ideas or something like that. We're happy to help, and we're delighted to be able to chat to you and see what ideas you're coming up with or how it's going. And then the last thing is there's just some considerations. So we're getting some word that players are busy doing other trainings. It's similar type of stuff. So I know Mel's are doing something. I'm sure some of the other schools might be sending stuff out. And then anyone that's involved with the county minors at under 17. So it's myself that's working with the county minors doing their fitness program as well. So if there's anyone doing the county minors, I would be saying that takes preference, because it's another step up, and that's what it's better for them if they're doing that one. And I have a little bit more control on how it's going for them. And then if it's with the schools, I suppose that comes back to the conversation that you have, that little bit of advice that, it's not one about take preference over the other. It's if they're doing something for the school, that's fine. And if the school is 4 times a week or something, that's fine. They can leave this alone. But if they have spare time or if they want to do it, then this is here too. It's a support for them and it's a resource for them. But I suppose the rules of thumb, or the ways to go about it, is that they shouldn't really be doing more than 3 days in a row of hard training. Now, that doesn't mean that, kicking a ball over the bar, or, if they are doing skills practice, that's fine. It's not that strenuous. But the stuff of doing runs and exercises, if they're trying to do 4 and 5 days in a row, that's where guys are going to get really fatigued, and it's going to be very hard for them to really get anything out of it. Then it's becoming a real chore. So if they have 2 rules of thumb, no more than 3 days that you do hard training, and then you get at least 2 rest days in a week. And rest days are easy days. You might do something with a football, you might play a little bit brothers and sisters, but you're not trying to train hard or better yourself in that sort of sense. So to be honest, that's all the stuff I have to say, and I'd be interested to hear if anyone has any questions or feedback or anything like that. because we want you to be clear on why we're doing this, on what it is, and how you can make the most out of it. And I know Seamus and Damien are there. If there's anything I breezed over or missed, don't be afraid to jump in and let me know.
Yeah, thanks very much, Owen. Owen, you might just gradually, while I'm talking there, maybe slide back through each of the slides there in case anybody wants to take a screen grab of it. Again, we're recording this session, so we'll have it here. We're not going to send it back out. If anybody that you know wants to see it, just make contact with me and I'll make the video available for them. There's no problem there, but you know, we're cognizant about the amount of stuff that we're sending out, and we don't want things getting lost in it. So anyone that wants to see the video after tonight, just drop me an email and I'll send them a link to it. No problem there. So just if you want to take a screenshot of any of the slides there with the ideas or whatever, Owen will go through them nice and slow. Just a couple of points that I want to touch on is, again, we've been doing these webinars long enough that we know when we put video up on it, it comes through very stop-start on your side. So if you just do a Google search for Longford Coaching and Games on YouTube, that'll take you straight to where we're putting the content up, and you'll be able to see our webinars from previous in the year, but you'll see all the sessions will go up there. I know some coaches have signed up that they get the link themselves, but anyone that just doesn't want to be getting the email, you can get the stuff directly on the YouTube channel. What you don't get though is that completion sheet and the running program that Owen is showing. The only way you'll get those is if you're signed up on the sheet, and you'll get that email on the Monday morning. Owen referenced the expert coaches that we're going to have involved. So we have a nutritionist, we have a psychologist. They're going to record small little segments of maybe 90 seconds to 2 minutes. We're going to insert them into the rest period between the sets. So each week there will be one team that the nutritionist will be working on and the psychologist will be working on. So it's trying to plant little seeds within the players' heads that they can just get more out of their sessions, more out of their performance, more out when they go back onto the field. So wasn't involved in week one. Was too much for us to put into it, but we're ready for week two, and we'll be rolling on with those inserts going forward. As Owen referenced, we wanted to keep it very simple to understand, and that's a beautiful graphic there just to the right of Rian, that you condition in week 3. So very simple to understand where you start from, how long you run for, how long you rest for, and what you do again. Very simple stuff. You know, anyone out on a country road, as Owen and Paddy was making the running joke about Mrs. Magooly's house, you run as far as Mrs. Magooly's house or wherever you can get to, and you remember it in your head. And the next day you have to do the same run, see can you get further. And if you got further, well, then you're definitely getting an improvement. So one important thing, and Owen, you might come in on it again, is that the activities are progressive activities. So week 1 was 25 seconds. You can see it there, the duration of an activity. Week 2 is up to 30 seconds. And Owen will be tailoring this as the weeks go along. So if somebody only signed up, say today, because we have people signing up every day since Monday. If somebody only signed up today and they don't get those 2 sessions in, they're still better off to complete those 2 sessions before they move on to the 2 that they'll get next week. And if, say, you get to week 3 or 4 and you miss 1 session, that's fine. Move on with the program. But if a player is only getting 1 session in a week, then they're better off sticking with the 2nd session of that week and being a week behind the program or 2 weeks behind it, rather than jumping forward to the most recent stuff. And I will be including that. It was in this week's email, and it will be in next week's email again for anyone that's only going to start it, that we'll be recommending that they go back to week 1. So again, one of the big motivators to this is, Annie, you might have seen in the Independent, the Declan Bogue article, but I spoke to the head of insurance, the Players Injury Fund in Croke Park, and last year in 2020, the number of insurance claims were way down on previous years. And obviously that's because it was a shorter season. But the actual cost of those claims was in and around the same as it had been in previous years. So that tells you there was less injuries, but each injury had a greater cost than prior. So if somebody twigged a hamstring in 2019, they were now pulling it in 2020. So again, it's awful important that in advance of, and we don't know when the lockdowns will get lifted and we'll be able to get back on the field, But it's very, very important that when your players get back out, you do give them that time where it is non-contact training, and you allow them to build back up to being used to being on the field and the softer ground or whatever it might be. And doing all of this work in advance of that will leave your players in a really good place. And, you know, like you might say you hit the ground running and you'll go back into the contact stuff and nothing will happen for 3 or 4 weeks. And then you'll start see the injuries start cropping up. So it's very important. It's something you're in control of. Use this program, use the non-contact sessions when you get back, and build up gradually to getting back to your full contact. Yeah, and that's it. So Owen or Shamey, if you want to come in with anything there, I know Gary is there as well, Cushion and old chairperson. Gary has had huge interest in everything that's been going on at the minute and trying to get a real handle on what's going on. So Gary, if you want to address the audience, feel free as well. So again, anyone questions into the text box, you can stick your hand up and we'll call you in. And again, thanks very much from my part for joining in.
I suppose just the last thing, I don't know if I covered it, or I don't think Damien did either. The strength exercises, there's actually an under 15 version and an under 17 version. So the under 17 is that little bit harder and that little bit more appropriate for them. And then the under 15s is a little bit easier and more appropriate for them. So just that you know that there's 2 sets, but the running is still the same because it's based off time, it should be individually based. But has anyone any questions? Has anyone any feedback or anything they want straightened out? And then Seamus or Gary.
Yeah, well, I suppose, look, it's just kind of to repeat what the lads are saying. I mean, as you can see from what's up there, there's wonderful resources here, and but they're only as good as, I suppose, the use they're getting. So it's really up to the clubs and the coaches not to promote it as much as they can, because the more they're used, the greater the overall effect and the benefit to everyone, you know. And I suppose we understand at the minute it is hard to be motivated with the situation that we're in. But I suppose if everyone uses these resources, we can kind of use them to get everyone motivated and to kind of give the season a kickstart. So, yeah. I suppose, look at, as I said, as you can see, they've been specifically done for this set of players and that. So, you know, I hope people take advantage and use them as much as they can.
Just touching on 2 other things there, slightly separate, but, you know, you can bring the message back to your clubs. So from Tuesday morning coming, the lads are starting virtual PE sessions in primary schools that have signed up for them. So we have a full schedule for the next 4 weeks of teachers that made contact with us that were interested in doing it. So some of you might have kids that are going to be part of that. You'll be getting your message soon enough, but that's an exciting adventure as well. And the lads are working as well on pulling together some, I suppose, a menu of stuff that we can provide for ye clubs to roll out. So we'll be communicating something for particularly the younger, the under 12s and down. There'll be a menu of stuff there that you can share with your clubs. You can come back to Owen or Paddy, Seamus or Kieran, and they'll be able to provide you with the resources that you'll be able to roll out with your club and with those teams. So again, if you're talking to other friends of yours and coaches within the club, you can pass that on as well. We'll communicate that during the week. Jarlath, you have a question there. If you want to unlock your mic and come in.
Yeah, Damien. I just see I went to under 15, say week 1. Is that correct? Like in a run for 12 minutes for the first week. When I saw week 3 was run for 6 minutes.
Yeah, so Jarlath, it's a run of 12 minutes, so it's at their own pace in terms of we want them to try and cover as much distance as they can. Right. And everyone's going to be different. So if 2 guys set out to do the 12-minute run, one guy might cover 2.5k, another fella might cover 2k. And that's fine because that's the level that they're at. They have to be that little bit honest and try and give it their all. But I think if they're going to be going out doing it at all, they're probably going to go out and try and do the rest. Mm-hmm. So when they do the 12 minutes, they'll get so far and then they've a bit of time to rest and they have to come back. So if they do it then with the 6 minutes, they'll go out 6 minutes and they'll rest for 2 minutes and then they'll go out a further 6 minutes. So what's actually happening there is they should cover more distance over that time. They'll be running that little bit faster. and then they have the 12 minutes to try and get back. So if they cover an extra 100, 150 meters in the 12 minutes going out, they have to try and cover that on the way back. And it sounds like that's not a lot, but it is a lot when it comes down to percentages of 1 or 2%. And then over there's 8 days of running, like there's 8 different sessions. Over that, the first and the last is the same. So that's what we're saying. We're hoping that the young fella will see that I got to Mrs. Magooly's house on the first day, but now I'm getting to Mrs. Magooly's house and up to the neighbour, and I can do that now. So it's the simplest way of having that progression without having to really do any tests or any major feedback like that. It should work for everyone.
Yeah, that's perfect. No, it's just when I saw the 6 minutes, I thought was there a bit of a mix up or something, with the 6 and the no, that clarifies it now. Perfect.
Brilliant.
I think you work off about 24 minutes of running pretty much in every session. It's just broke up in a different way. So it's working a sort of a different type of an energy system. And if you keep doing the same type of a run for the same length, the progress doesn't happen. Progression happens by changing it and adapting it. So that's kind of the reason why it's broke up.
No, very good.
And Charlotte, thanks for that. Anyone else there? We didn't plan for this to be a long one, but just, use this facility if anybody has any questions.
And then I suppose one thing I meant to say probably was, if you're talking to players or your team and there's someone that's struggling or there's someone that's finding it really, really easy, like, don't be afraid to pick up the phone to whoever you most know. So Paddy, Seamus, or myself, and we can get back some advice. There might be a really simple tweak we can make to an exercise to make it that bit harder or something. Now, I know for a fact that there's no way there's anyone going to be finding it really, really easy, but there might be something that they just aren't getting a hit out of that we might be able to help. Or particularly if someone is struggling, we'll be able to give them little bits of advice. And it's just little tiny changes to the exercises that could be the difference between them not being able to do it and being able to get something out of it.
Okay, Owen, I'd say that's it. We'll just give it 10 seconds if anybody else wants to come in. But other than that, thanks for joining us. As I said, if you want to share the tell any of your coaches that missed it that there is a recording, just let them know that and make contact with me and I can share it back out with them. There's no problem there at all. So
actually,
thanks
Damien,
everyone. Gary, good man, in you come.
Before you finish, Damien, I just wanted to say well done to you and the crew. Owen, Paddy, Kieran, Seamus and yourself, and Finbar for the heading up the coaching of games. I just seen an email come across my desk the other day from I believe somebody in Kilkenny, searching online for a program for strength and conditioning or training for kids, and wasn't able to find anything until they stumbled across R1 and made direct contact with Damien and Finbar, and absolute pure complimentary of how simplistic and easy it was to follow. So I believe you hooked up with that guy and helped him out for his area of the country. So like that's a credit to you and the team to be able to be spotted online like that. And Longford doesn't always have the best name out there, and we always get a tough rap every now and again. But this crew that's working for coaching the games in Longford, I can't speak highly enough of them. So well done, guys.
Thanks, Harry.
Thank you.
Okay, everybody, keep safe and stay well and enjoy your football and hurling and keep your players active. Take care, everyone.
Talk soon, everyone. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.